us looking at black and white adjustment is just a lead up to us doing some black and white adjustment layer masking. So let's go ahead and pull up the wedding couple. Hello, friends. And we're going to do the same thing we always do. Let's rename that background layer. And let's make a black and white adjustment. And I guess, I don't know, that seems, I don't really have anything in particular that I want to make more light or dark based on color. But what I would like to do, because I want to charge them another $300, is that I would, $500, why not? You know, let's go for the big money. I would like to have the color of the flowers show up. So I'd like to have the flowers in color and everything else in black and white. Now, how can I do that? Well, right now, let's look at our layer palette, right? Here's our black and white adjustment layer. And over here, there is a little preview image that indicates it's an adjustment layer and what kind. We don't need to pay attention to that. And then there is a little chain thing. It's good that it's there. We're not going to talk about that either. And then to the right, there's a big old white rectangle. That big old white rectangle is important. So if we click on that, and if we go back and click on this first thing, you'll see those little like corners, right? They go back and forth. Those are important to pay attention to. When we have them clicked on this, then we are not able to adjust this part over here, right? So when I go over here, I can go up here and adjust my properties. But if I were to grab a brush and try to draw, I couldn't draw anything, right? Because I'm not in a pixel layer, I'm in an adjustment layer. Now, if I go over here to this big white rectangle, that is the layer mask. And if I am on the layer mask, and I'm going to do a little bit of setup here, I'm going to grab black paint by hitting D and then X. Right, so I've got my black paint there. I've got my brush. I'm going to go up here and make my flow 100%. I'm also going to come up here and make my hardness, I don't know, 85, something like that. I don't know what I say in the handout, but you can experiment with it. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, Command+. Now, remember that we can get bigger and smaller with those square brackets. And I'm going to just draw a black line, sort of tracing the flowers. Now, as I'm doing this, you will notice that wherever I'm drawing, there is color. I'm like a magical bringing color to things person. Make it a little bit bigger, where I don't have to be quite so careful. Come in here and nail the boutonniere. Awesome. I'm a genius. So what just happened there? So what we did, if we come down here and look at our layer, the black and white layer, which I'm going to now have to rename, except for flowers, this white thing, you can see that there's a little black area. So wherever we put black paint, we are hiding the effect of that adjustment layer, right? You can think of it back when we were talking about our adjustment layer as, hold on, a gel, right? So we had our gel and we had our underlying image, terrifying. We put the gel over it, right? We could still see our underlying image, but we were seeing it through that gel. So here's my adjustment layer. My adjustment layer says make things blue. Here's my pixels. I see all that blueness. Layer masking is essentially cutting a hole in this gel, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to cut a hole in my gel. But if I were to cut a hole over the forehead, right, you would see the blue everywhere except where I had cut that hole. So that is what we're doing. We are making a mask, right? It's a bit of unfortunate pun with that mask right there. We are essentially cutting a hole in whatever our adjustment layer is so that there is no adjustment layer there. And we're doing that by using black paint. So wherever there is black paint, right, if it's just a little bit black, it's mostly gray, it's only going to be a little bit blocking that adjustment layer. If it's completely black, it's going to completely block that adjustment layer, and we're going to see through to that color. Wherever it's white, which is what it is by default, right? By default, it's all totally big white rectangle. We are going to see the adjustment layer in full effect. So that means if I take my brush again, I make sure I'm back on that layer mask, and I switch from black to white paint by hitting X on the keyboard, and I come back up here to the boutonniere, boop, it is now back black and white, color, black and white, color. And you can see this really easily. If I go down here to my adjustment layer and I hold down the Option key and click on that mask, that shows me a graphic image in black and white of what my mask looks like. This mask looks like a dog's breakfast. You'll see there's some holes in it down there. I can patch those up pretty quickly, but you'll also see that, Option click on it again to hide it. There's a lot of slop up here. I can see just how sloppy it is if I go to channels. Channels I usually have docked with layers. You can also get to it window, channels right there. And if I'm on that adjustment layer, there is a black and white, except for flowers, extra channel there. I can click that, and it will show me that in red. And that really drives home how bad and sloppy my mask is. Now, why didn't we see that in the picture? Well, the reason we didn't see that in the picture is that what's around the flowers, it's his tux. What color is his tux? It's black. So the fact that I made it color didn't matter, right? That's the great thing about black and white outfits, is that you can make them black and white, you can make them color, they look the goddamn same. So I didn't have to be very careful. But now that we've seen how bad that is, you can turn that on, grab your brush, go back to white paint, maybe make it a little bit smaller, and fix up your mask. So it is really important that when you are doing your masking, pretty much on anything, that you go through and try turning on either the channel of the mask, or if it's a little bit easier to see, you can just go in and do that Option click on the layer mask to see it in black and white, and see if you have any problems, right? If you have a big hole in the middle of your mask, right, if you're like, whomp, right, you'll be able to see that pretty easily just by Option clicking on that, and you can be like, oh shoot, Brad's going to dock me points. If you have drawn with your brush so that has a big turdy bumpy line, right, you'll be able to see that too. That's good because I will dock you points. So you should look at it because I'm going to look at it, right? So why not find out if you did a good job or not? Let's go back, Option click that off, come back here, turn that on. Now you should go in there and be a little bit more precise with these, right? Make your brush a little bit smaller, come in there, get that, a little more mask over there. Right, that seems okay on that. Remember, I'm just sitting here hitting X on the keyboard to switch from black and white paint. It's super, super useful. And it allows me to come in here and hit this. This is the reason why we have a relatively hard-edged brush, is that I don't want it to be a nice fuzzy edge to my mask, right? I want it to either be black and white, or I want it to be in color. Having a smooth transition from one to the other doesn't actually help me at all. I think that's fine. I don't really know what that is. Is that flower? I can't tell. I don't know. We'll say the flower stops there. Okay, so that is how you do masking on an adjustment layer. This is an incredibly powerful tool. It's a way to go in and do like dodging and burning by using a curves layer and masking it in and out. It's like using masking is one of the biggest things that we do with Photoshop. So go ahead, do that. Take a nice picture, make it black and white, make the flowers in color. Go in there, make sure that you've got sort of a nice masking outline on there. And then put it on the Padlet. When you put it on the Padlet, I would like to see 2 screenshots. I would like to see this, and maybe you can come in a little bit, your layers palette with this black and white image. And then I would also like you to also go into channels, turn that on, and do a screenshot like that. So those two, put them on the Padlet. Congratulate yourself on just having made an extra $500 in 10 minutes. And I'll see you back here for a little talk about what the homework is.